Hello, welcome to Broadview. My name is Joseph. Today we're going to be talking about the catastrophic earthquake predicted in Les Prophéties. On July 28, 2021, on the southern coast of Alaska, the 7th most destructive earthquake in American history occurred. This earthquake was rated an 8.2 magnitude on the Richter scale. What does that mean? Well, the Richter scale ranks earthquakes from 1 to 10, as you may know, with 1 being the lowest magnitude. Earthquakes below 4.5 are considered weak and not too destructive. Although they can be felt by most people, they don't typically have devastating effects. Multitudes above 6 on the scale count as strong earthquakes, and those above magnitude 8 would be huge earthquakes. Each earthquake magnitude releases approximately 32 times the energy of the previous magnitude. Therefore, the difference in energy released between a magnitude 8 and a magnitude 6 would be the square of 32, or 1,024 times. It may sound quite frightening when you calculate it like this. What if we keep going from a level 8 to a level 10? That would be the square of 1,024, which I think is unimaginable. Fortunately, the earthquake in Alaska did not cause any casualties, nor did it cause any devastating tsunamis. But why? Well, because the earthquake occurred relatively deep, 30 kilometers below ground. Now, the shallower an earthquake occurs, the more devastating it gets. So the most catastrophic earthquakes in history actually all occurred at a depth of between 10 to 20 kilometers underground. Up until now, there has yet to be an earthquake of magnitude 10 documented in human history. The greatest we've seen is a 9.5, which took place in Chile in 1960. Since Chile is located in the southeastern corner of the Pacific Plate, this earthquake ended up causing a 20-meter high tsunami, which shot all the way across the Pacific Ocean to Japan and the Philippines. The disaster shook the international community at the time, as such a powerful tsunami had never been seen before. As far as 10,000 kilometers away in Japan, the tsunami still managed to kill 800 people and left 150,000 people homeless. So in total, this disaster caused approximately 3,000 to 6,000 casualties, and some estimate that number may be even higher. However, this 9.5 magnitude earthquake fortunately didn't happen in the most concerning place possible. The most frightening volcanic clusters and seismic belts are found in the western part of the Pacific Plate, which spans across Alaska, Japan, the Philippines, and Indonesia. 90% of earthquakes take place in this area. Fortunately, the earthquakes in Chile only caused 6 volcanoes to erupt in this ring of death. That's right, I said only. There are 425 known volcanoes in the Pacific Rim, and the Chilean earthquake erupted only 6 of them. Then think about it. If a magnitude 10 earthquake happened in this most frightening area, then the outcome would be unimaginably horrific. Scientists believe that a magnitude 10 earthquake would be able to trigger worldwide volcanic eruptions, causing enveloping tsunamis to cover 5 continents in 25 minutes. That really would be the end of the world as we know it. It's possible we humans wouldn't be able to survive for more than an hour. At that point, the disaster film 2012 would be unfolding in real life. The only difference between the scenario above and that disaster film is that if this kind of catastrophe were really to occur, no one would be able to survive, leaving the male protagonist no time to even escape, because modern science is not yet able to fully understand the core cause of earthquakes. Our explanation today is that the tectonic plates in the process of constant motion grind together, through which energy is accumulated. When the strain caused by friction becomes unbearable, the plates break, which causes the accumulated energy to be released, triggering an earthquake. Now, if you've been subscribed to our channel for a while, you might have a sense of déjà vu here. That's right, in one of our past videos, we talked about one of the disasters predicted by history's most famous prophet, Nostradamus. In this prophecy, he said, "The sloping park, great calamity, to be done through Hesperia and Insubria. The fire in the ship, plague and captivity, and Mercury and Sagittarius Saturn will fade." The complete works of Nostradamus. Here's our interpretation. The sentence about the shipwreck refers to the underwater crust breaking apart, which implies that earthquakes and volcanic eruptions will occur. The part mentioning the sloping park and calamity refers to the tilting of the continents, causing them to be flooded. This sounds a lot like the sinking of continents after tectonic plates are broken. So where might this earthquake take place? Well, there are different interpretations, as you might have imagined. Some say that it'll take place in California, others predict it will happen in the Yellowstone National Park, since the poem mentions a sloping park. The line, "Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn will fade," might refer to the timing of this catastrophe. According to folk astrologers, this date is in November of 2021, a few months from today. In fact, Bible scholars have also predicted from the book of Ezekiel, a prophetic book in the Hebrew Bible, that there might be a powerful earthquake happening in the year 2021. But Alaska is not the spot geologists fear most. Then where are they most concerned about? It is in the no man's land where the two cities of Portland and Seattle meet. It may seem like a barren stretch of grassland, but under the thin layer of soil hide two big plates, the Pacific Plate on the one side and the North American Plate on the other. On a map, the two plates look like they're close together, but there's in fact a 1,000-kilometer long fault between them called the Cascadia Fault, and also known as the Cascadia Subduction Zone. The word subduction implies that the tectonic plate takes on a downward sloping angle. Many major cities in North America are built on this fault zone, such as Seattle, Vancouver, and Portland. Another very special part of this fault zone is called the Juan de Fuca Plate. This small plate is wedged right in between the Pacific and North American plates. Although it may seem inconspicuous, it plays a crucial role. Why? Well, to answer this question, let's dive 2,000 meters down into the Pacific Ocean and take a look. Here, 2,000 meters down into the ocean, lies a pile of igneous rock. But these rocks don't originate from underwater. They were formed from magma that rose out from deep inside the mantle and solidified after cooling. Geologists have hypothesized that the rising of the magma was due to the mantle being too hot. Just like boiling water, the magma acted like water vapor and oozed up to the ocean floor. Upon reaching the seawater, it cooled down and solidified into a pile of igneous rock. This pile of rock serves to keep the Juan de Fuca Plate in place right between the Pacific and North American plates. In this sense, the Juan de Fuca Plate acts as a lock, keeping both the larger plates intact. Should the Juan de Fuca Plate ever slip, the consequences would be devastating. Now think of it this way. If we have two doors just slightly touching each other, the swinging of any one door in any direction wouldn't affect the other, right? But if the two doors were firmly connected together by a strong lock, then everything would be impacted. When the lock, the Juan de Fuca Plate, gets pulled down by the door under it, the Pacific Plate, then the other door connected to the lock, the North American Plate, would also be pulled down, wreaking havoc in the process. Because the Pacific Plate is lower than the North American Plate, when the Pacific Plate grinds against the North American Plate, it always tends to wedge itself under the other plate. This continuously pulls the Juan de Fuca Plate down as well. As a result, experts have always kept an eye on this area. They predict that in the next 50 years, there's a 12% chance of the Juan de Fuca Plate sliding off. However, if we extend this time frame to 200 years, in the year 2220, the chances of this happening become basically 100%. At some point in time, this will definitely happen, and the resulting earthquake will most certainly reach at least 9 magnitude. Now, fortunately, the Alaska earthquake didn't trigger any chain reaction this time, which has temporarily relieved the experts. On the bright side, this earthquake, although severe, released its tremendous energy in a sparsely populated area, which means that we could enjoy another peaceful stretch of time until the tension builds up again. On the downside, this might be signaling the beginning of another period of rigorous crust activity in this seismic zone. Any earthquake in this zone, no matter its size, is equally worrying to experts, because any earthquake here could pull the most fatal trigger, Yellowstone National Park. Now, why are the experts losing so much sleep over this? Well, since Nostradamus mentioned the sloping park and calamity in his prophecies, let's delve deeper into this and see what it might imply. Yellowstone National Park is located in the center of the Rocky Mountains and spans 3 states. The park has an area of nearly 9,000 square kilometers. In the park, there are rainbow springs, geysers, canyons, grasslands, and forests. Virtually every imaginable and unimaginable piece of natural scenery can be found here. It's many nature lovers' first choice. But there's a huge danger hidden under all this beautiful scenery. The hazard comes from the more than 10,000 hot springs and 300 geysers in the park. This is 10 times the amount found in Iceland. And Iceland is most certainly a volcanic island. It's abundant in geothermal energy and has more than 100 volcanic sites around the country. But in Yellowstone, there aren't any traces of lava left after eruptions. Where do its large geothermal resources come from? Experts have probed the underground layer of Yellowstone Park with special instruments, and they found a huge magma chamber, a real beast. This hole is 88 kilometers long and 40 kilometers wide, and its volume is more than 2 times that of the Colorado Grand Canyon. This find was astonishing. If the aforementioned Juan de Fuca plate slipped and the magma in the mantle gushed out and poured into this large hole to fill it, it would result in a super volcano, the likes of which we've never seen before. If the super volcano erupted, its effects would be felt worldwide. At first, geologists could not find the chamber. From a bird's eye view, you can't see any sort of crater-like landform in the park, which might initially be relieving. 95% of the world's volcanoes are located at the junction of continental plates, but Yellowstone National Park is in the middle of the North American plate. Does that mean that there is no crater? Well, let's take a closer look. Experts continue to study the supervolcano at Yellowstone. They collected rock samples from around the park and assembled an X-ray map of the entire Yellowstone National Park. This brought about new discoveries. A cliff was found on the western edge of the park, and further testing showed that the rock on the cliff was formed after the eruption of lava. It was very likely that the crater would be found here. Experts continued studying, and as expected, a huge crater was discovered. It had been hidden for hundreds of thousands of years in the edge of this cliff. The crater is 56 kilometers wide and covers an area of 2,400 square kilometers, 6 times the size of Chicago City. For comparison, the largest known active volcano on land is Mauna Loa in Hawaii, with a crater only 5 kilometers in diameter. The crater diameter of the invisible supervolcano in Yellowstone Park is more than 50 kilometers, 10 times that of Mauna Loa. It's safe to say that it'll be absolutely devastating when this supervolcano erupts. The movie 2012 shows the eruption of Yellowstone's supervolcano, but in fact, that was probably just a watered-down version of what would actually happen. Iceland has a volcano called, I'm not even going to try and pronounce that word, that erupted in 2010. It was a small eruption, but the resulting volcanic ash cloud spread throughout Europe and caused lung damage in so many people. As a result, flights across Europe were cancelled for 2 days. The eruption only spewed about 1 cubic kilometer of volcanic ash. If the supervolcano in Yellowstone Park erupted, it would release at least 1,000 times more ash than that. It would not just be a disaster in the United States, it would be a global disaster. The volcanic ash would form a cloud covering the world, causing the global temperature to drop by 4 degrees. It's a serious consequence, as it would likely lead to a sharp decrease in global food production. In addition, the combination of sulfide emitted by the volcano and water vapor would form acid rain, killing plants, leading to a global famine as well as a chain reaction of diseases caused by volcanic ash, and not to mention pollution of drinking water. Then the direct consequence may be the end of this era of human civilization. Just thinking about this sends chills down my spine. Will the supervolcano in Yellowstone National Park erupt for sure? Well, the answer is, it most definitely will. It has erupted at least 3 times in the past 2 million years, and each time it's caused a huge disaster. It's only a matter of time until its next eruption. The only thing that we can do is hope that this time comes later rather than sooner. Now, if we return to the Alaska earthquake on July 28, 2021, we see that it means that one of Nostradamus' prophecies seems to have been fulfilled. But the extent of the disaster is far less than that stated in the prophecy. Maybe something we aren't aware of changed the planned course of history. Is it possible for the disaster in the prophecy to be resolved or avoided? Human beings' instruments can shed little light on the world beneath our feet, deep within the earth. We can't understand it, let alone reverse and prevent disasters. Before such monstrous disasters, human beings are far too small and our resources far too weak to resolve them. So apart from making stronger buildings, the only thing I believe that we can do is sincerely pray to the Creator to protect us from such disasters. And if you have better ways of avoiding disasters, please leave a comment and let us know. Well, that's the end of today's topic. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.